Odd power. The echo is working. Um, it's cold. It's snowed a little bit. It's a nice way to enter into Taurus season. I remember as a child we'd go up north for the opener of fishing. And a few times it would snow that on the weekend we'd go up, which kind of sucked. Isolated. Many times I've felt isolated in life. Most of my life. I'm trying to get through that, basically. When you're isolated a lot, you're in relation to certain dynamics, it reinforces the way you are. So when you come into reality like that, you're very sharp. There's a big contrast. It's just like when you go from one culture to another, you are contrasting. Travel is good because it gets you accustomed to understanding that variance, that ninth house wisdom, that expansion of belief. When the belief expands, then this language opens up the scope of your radiance. Imagine your psyche emanating from you, life force shooting out. You go somewhere new and you've expanded this backdrop from which your psyche is resting. Now it's trying to break free and grow. And as it does, something's falling down, and this falling down is the gnosis. That's the meaning sticking to the feeling, given rise to words. It's like spiritual rain. That's why learning, specifically life learning, the engagement in the relation to change, travel, expansion, horizon moving, why that wisens you, gives you the meaning to the actual conviction that you feel to be true. It gives you the language to understand. So this isolation, the world, when the North Node was in Gemini, and I'm speaking Western tropically here, that's about relation, communication, your siblings, the people in your environment, networking, sharing information, analysis, comparing and contrasting, figuring out what's worth falling into and what isn't, and what you do with that, what you form in this world through that. And of course, we're banging off of the narrations of the social etiquette, constraints, and the privileges that come with that. Capricorn stuff. So, as you might have become aware, we got isolated, we were locked down and segregated in a way through belief. And because people believed, they had expectations and they became canon in societal narration. So consensus reality was hijacked. So it kind of isolated us which is not a general theme for Gemini, but since I have a eighth house Gemini, I kind of understand that was a very scorpionic thing to do, to happen. That's very deep transformation of analysis, information, awareness. What is the truth of scientism? What is the value? We'll find out soon. So we had to lean on our beliefs and the convictions of our beliefs and what spirit we're forging through that. Nostalgia held us. Traditions held us. Change, revolution held us. Repressions rose. Monsters show. So do saints. And we're all growing through these weird um, possessions in our own lives. Some are a little bit more deep, some are a little bit more high up in the way that they engage with reality. So it was interesting. So we were forced to interface through devices, through technology, Uranian energies, the value of relation and side effect of changing beliefs to that. I'm not saying it's orchestrated, it's divinely expressed just as much as it is malevolently expressed. So then we had the nodes Venus, Taurus, Mars, Scorpio, Pluto, Scorpio. Essentially fixed energies, We're heading into Aquarius. I feel we're there. I'm there. But some aren't. So it's like, what did we lose in Gemini? Also, what did we gain? Only the sovereign are going to gain through this. And what I mean by that is you're going to be standing more in the power of your own convictions. If you were getting woken up because you fell into the trance of life and you were doing everything that the masters wanted you to do in relation to how you behave, then you're probably finding out that you were disempowered, taken advantage of. And now the repression that you've been holding down is itching and screaming to be released. And if there's not as many options anymore and there's an interface between you and this reality, how do you think that plays out, Consuming. Just look at the numbers, look at the sales, look at the companies, look at the economic restructuring that's been going on and where we're headed with this tech through CBDCs and all that control state, mechanistic, utopian dream type tech talk. If you don't see real value in the human experience, then that future looks very good to you because you could just upload your shit to AI and you could be an echo of a ghost that didn't understand what life was and you could live eternally in that ethos, sacrificed to some whatever, egregor of a dying age. And you think other people are stupid or they feel too much or they're crazy or whatever, so you would gladly give away their future for your utopian dream. That's the socialite, that's the sheep caste who are being mesmerized by the shit show There's restructuring of civilization that's happening, not just financially, but with people moving around the world as well. Migrations. I guess no one told us. The animals get a little restless before the earthquakes come. That's how I see this. I don't pretend to know time, but I read signs. So the rumblings are deep in the psyche. But you can go more meta. You can break it up and look at it more cyclically. Changes, fixed energies on Earth with Uranus. When Uranus goes into Gemini, he will be conjunct his south node. This is the wound of the memory, the mind. Uranus said to be higher octave of Mercury. But really, it's just Mercury tapped in, dialed in to spirit. It's Prometheus. Happens to us anytime we have an epiphany or an idea or realization. With Saturn, it's a slow growth. With Uranus, everything that you've repressed or had not found the language for rises up within you and it becomes realization. I know this. I have Uranus opposing Mercury on my ACDC in conjunct a bunch of stuff in the house of transformation. So finding the language for meaning, watching the beliefs transform, absolutions dying, being born again. When you see that or feel that within yourself or within reality, there seems to be a sense of a truth in the simple things. So the nodes are in Aries, Libra now. Mars, North Node ruler. Mars coming out of that Saturnian conjunction here in Pisces. Fire really getting stamped out to be reborn. The cast falling off, the spirit floating through the nether realm to the next expression. If you're floating towards the sovereignty of a sense of authenticity in yourself, you reignite here. If you are pulled into the castigation of what has been in the wake of karmic retributions through ancestral lineage or the ignorance of not knowing your value and placing it in the world, then you'll be lit up there. And this isn't like you're going to hell and you're going to heaven, you're good, you're bad. This is just life. We're growing, all of us. Some carry, some ferry, some just live. So figure out what you're carrying or who you are ferrying through this life. How can you do that best? How can you live best? How simple can you get? Adding complexity is necessary. When you do that, these demarcation points, boundaries are very easy to see, not just for you, but for others. You don't have to be blunt, you don't have to be sharp, you just have to be fair to yourself, and that's enough for others because you're not going to take from someone if you are trying to be fair for yourself. When my daughter was young, my youngest daughter, she would race with the other kids and she never wanted to win, but she didn't want to lose. So she would watch them and like pace them and then tie or try to. She was afraid of a misuse of power. She had an inborn feeling of what it's like. We all do that in ways. These psychological hooks, they're just, when they say systemic racism or whatever, it's just systemic living. It's being human. Our emotions are brought to life through structure, through history. We got to figure out what's real and what's the old. We don't need to burn it. We need to grow from it. So, being the fire unto yourself so that you can light up the world in whatever way that is, or just being the fire unto yourself so you can see where you're going, what you're doing in this place. That's going to be a good investment in idea, some space in your brain to carry you through the next few days here. They say idle hands makes a dangerous mind, you know. If your hands, your intention is set on cultivation, then I don't know what that means, but you're probably not going to get swayed by the winds. All right, well, thanks for listening, watching, and being.